Hi, I'm Nishad Avari from the class of 1999. Currently, I'm grounded in New York, where I work at the auction house Christie's as a specialist in modern and contemporary South Asian art. At Christie's, which is now more than 250 years old, we hold about 300 auctions each year in more than 80 categories, including all areas of fine and decorative arts, jewelry, photographs, watches, wine, handbags, and much, much more. Just last month, we even got to share our gallery space with a chunk of the moon and an enormous T Rex named Stan. Despite the incredible opportunity to encounter fascinating objects and learn a little bit more about the world through them that this space offers, when you hear about an auction house, it is inevitably in the context of the prices that such works of art and collectibles achieve. While we are definitely a house of commerce, and sometimes it is the price achieved that leads to more column inches in the press and more people learning about a work of art, I wanted to take this opportunity to help you see the art I get to work with before and beyond the transaction. And what better time to do this? In what was an increasingly hurried world of constant travel and instant communication and gratification, all of us are now forced to pause for a bit. Instead of a passing glance, we actually have the time to stop and stare, to see instead of simply looking. Taking the opportunity and time that this year's strange turn of events has given us, I want to show you how I really get to know a piece of art, beyond a first impression, and how I have learned so much more about the world through the windows these pieces open. Recently, I came across an article about the 150th anniversary of the Metropolitan Museum of Art here, where the critic Peter Sheldal formulated this thought so much more articulately than I could. He wrote, "There's looking at art, and then there's thinking about it, which can sprawl without limits across our apprehension of the ways of the world." Besides prices and the descriptions of art we find on labels at museums, galleries, and auction houses, another distraction from seeing is the familiar knee jerk reaction that we so often hear and sometimes have ourselves. My kid could have done that. More often than not, all this means is I don't understand what I see. I recently heard this about the monumental painting by Cy Twombly from his Bolsena series, which we auctioned earlier this summer. This painting is a great example of a work that may be summarily dismissed or misunderstood based on a first glance, and also overlooked in favor of the price it achieved. But we'll come back to this painting soon. Even if I don't aesthetically enjoy every piece of art I encounter, after many years of looking, I now understand that each one has the potential to open my eyes to something new if I just give it the time and attention it deserves. Communicating this is also a critical skill when I'm actually trying to sell a piece of art. Something that helped me understand this and will always stay with me is what the artist Francis Newton Sousa once said. Whether you like or dislike my work, the fact that you have paused to consider it and that it has evoked a response in you means that it has achieved its goal. We can see in this small selection of work by the artist from 1962 that his art certainly evokes strong responses. For me, the key to moving beyond that first visual encounter, or simply looking at a work of art, and then seeing and understanding it, is usually found on the level of anecdote. Stories about and around the work that relate to you and hold your interest. Unlike breezing past an object and its wall text in a museum, or flipping through images of it in a book, this is how art can really leave a lasting impression and expose us to new ideas and experiences. To discover these stories, we can approach a work of art from a few different angles, other than its visual content, which are usually closely intertwined. The first is the work itself, the actual physical object and its life. When was it made? Where has it been since? Asking these questions helps us put together its provenance, a passport-like documentation of its origins and travels. Often, this also uncovers unknown or forgotten histories, sometimes even tales of lost loves and rescued careers. Last year, we were approached by the Nordentoft family in Denmark, who owned two paintings they said might be of interest. It turned out the two works were by Syed Haider Raza, one of India's foremost modern painters. More exciting for us, however, was the fact that these formative works of Raza's came with a trove of letters, photos, and scrapbooks that their owner had carefully preserved. Documenting Raza's life and struggles as a student in Paris in the early 1950s, this material was revelatory, adding vital information to our knowledge of this famous artist's life and work, including the fact that without the support of friends like Lydia Nordentoft, he might well have turned away from art as a career option. Correspondingly, stories about the collectors or individuals who owned works of art reveal the ways in which they connected with the work of the artist. This painting, of Krishna hiding in a tree to steal Gopi's clothes by Maqbul Fida Hussain, was acquired directly from the artist by the 7th Earl and Countess of Harwood, representing the close friendship they developed with Hussain over several visits to India. On one of these visits in 1968, Lord Harwood was too unwell to inaugurate the artist's solo show where this painting was originally exhibited. Hussain, with his usual flair, declared that as Lord Harwood was unable to come to the exhibition would go to him, and arranged for all the paintings on display to be taken to his hotel room and shown to him in a memorable procession by his bedside. Keeping in touch over the decades, the couple's support of Hussain never wavered, and they even hosted an exhibition of his recent paintings at Harwood House in 2007. Another closely related approach to a work of art is getting to know more about the artist and his or her creative process. It's not often that we get the privilege of interacting directly with the creators of the works we see, but when we do, the experience can reveal several new aspects about their work. We've been fortunate to hear artists speak about their work in this forum in past years, and many of us lucky BIS alums also had the opportunity in our classrooms to spend an hour each week with Badri Narayan, one of the most compelling visual storytellers in modern South Asian art history. Thankfully, we are more attentive to documentation now, and a lot of artist interviews and interactions are being recorded and made available to us and future generations. Even if the artist of a work remains anonymous, sometimes understanding their motivations leads to a new appreciation of their work. This painting, from the late 19th century, was made by an unknown artist in Bengal who learned to use oil paint on canvas from the colonial teachers of the time. The image is also based on a colonial print that documented British officials at the Mysore Darbar around 1850. However, the Indian painter's work is not merely a copy. Rather, it's a shrewd appropriation that transforms the print into a depiction of one of the most famous events from the epic Mahabharata, the disrobing of Draupadi. By transmuting the colonial Darbar scene to one from mythic pre-colonial India, the artist subtly asserts his or her independence, along with that of the nation perhaps, claiming the new foreign technique to serve and sustain ancient traditions. Finally, you can look at a work of art from the perspective of other viewers to learn how they may have understood it in different, sometimes revealing ways. This painting, by the artist Subodh Gupta, was displayed at Jahangir Art Gallery a couple of years ago, open for all to walk in and see. One of the people who paused in front of it was a young schoolgirl, maybe in the 8th or 9th grade. Not knowing anything about the artist, or of the usual readings about consumption, urbanization, and commercialization that his paintings of vessels usually inspire, she asked me if the work was about domestic violence, with its splatter of red and network of cracks against the shiny stainless steel. This list of approaches is not exhaustive. By sharing these stories of how I have gotten to know various works of art, I hope you are inspired to start seeing rather than looking, moving beyond first impressions that prices and quick glances leave, and opening yourself to multiple and different registers of value. I wanted to leave you once again with Cy Twombly's Bolsena. This time, when you see the painting, without the description and price it achieved, try to spend some time digging deeper and let the work open a window on something you didn't know about before. From ancient cave paintings and Roman sculpture to man's first step on the moon, this painting has a lot to say.